If labor and material costs are eating through your profits, this video could save you thousands. I'll show you exactly how I cut my material cost with one email and a 15-minute meeting. Imagine this, you spend $5,000 on labor and material and you're able to charge your customer $12,000 and your customer still feels like they got a great deal. That's the power of brand and cost control. Contract labor and your material are your cost of goods sold. These are the things that you can control by negotiating with your vendors and having a good brand. Are you looking to make $20,000 a month? Learning how to manage your cost of goods sold will put you on the right track. In one of our previous videos, we talked about the possibility of making $20,000 a month. We'll take some of the more important metrics and break those down over the course of the next couple of videos. In this video, we're gonna specifically go over the cost of goods sold and how it can make your business more profitable. As a reminder, these are the 4 key areas that we're gonna track on our P&L. Obviously, there's a lot of other metrics to track, but these are the 4 main areas. Stick with me. We're gonna go over a lot of details that are gonna put you on the right path. Here are the 4 main areas. Cost of goods sold, which we're gonna talk about in detail. Overhead, which we have another video that we talk about. Marketing, which we have another video that we talk about. Net profit, which we also have another video. These are 4 key areas that we want to watch very closely. And so today, we're gonna go over the cost of goods sold. Go back and check out the other videos for those other 3 areas. But today, we're gonna dive deep on the cost of goods sold. Your cost of goods sold are the expenses you accumulate to complete the job. In my painting business, the material that we purchase to complete the project and the labor I pay to complete the project are the cost of goods sold. Like most things in business, you can manage this cost as you scale and start to build more relationships. All right, so let's break this down in a little bit more detail. So right after your cost of goods sold on your P&L, you have your net profit. So that's just good general information to know. So what we wanna look at is your cost of goods sold, and we're trying to get your net profit up and your cost of goods sold down. So let's talk about your material cost. This will be anything that you purchase to complete the project. So in my case, for painting, anything that I buy, tape, plastic, all the things that I'm gonna purchase that is job site specific is a cost of goods sold. Things that would not be considered cost of goods sold, my cell phone, internet, marketing, all that stuff is separate. But the cost of goods sold is everything directly related to fulfilling that contract for that project. If you're working with large suppliers, it'll be pretty easy to get some basic pricing from those suppliers. Once you show loyalty and consistency with specific manufacturers, you will be able to bring down your cost. There are a couple different ways I've seen people approach this, but here is my preferred way. I've seen some companies spread their business out with multiple vendors. I think this is a slower way to bring down your cost. If you are spending $100,000 with one vendor, that's enough money that you're gonna get someone's attention. But if you're spending $100,000 and you spread that out over multiple vendors, it's probably not enough money to really get the attention of the vendor. But if I'm spending all of that money with one vendor, I'm gonna build a stronger relationship with that vendor. Obviously, in the beginning, you are also testing that vendor to see if they can give you the quality and the service that you need in the material and the customer service side to make sure they're gonna be able to serve you properly as you scale your business. But once the basics have been established, you're more likely to have leverage if you build up a good rapport with one or maybe 2 companies. The downside to using fewer vendors is that you have fewer options. Most of the time, this is not an issue if you are using reputable vendors. Again, we are talking about your material. The labor's a little different. Some of the principles are the same, but it may be a little bit of a different approach. Just recently, I sat down with one of our largest vendors. This is a company that I have been working with for a long time, and they have seen consistent growth in our company. When I sat down with him, I very clearly laid out how much money we have been spending, how much money I was gonna be spending in the future, and also how much money I could save if I used a different vendor. I spent a couple hours organizing all of the different information, all the pricing, and I showed him the amount of money I would save if I went with a different vendor. So I emailed this over to him and I requested a meeting. I also told him in the email that I wanted him to talk to whoever it was that he needed to talk to, so when we sit down, we could make a decision and we didn't have to go back and forth. I wanted to streamline the process, so I sent him my expectations and I told him, this is what I'm expecting, this is what I'm looking for. Talk to whoever it is that you need to talk to, so when we sit down to discuss this, we can make a decision and finalize it. When we sat down to go over the pricing, I was able to get exactly what I wanted. Because I was able to show them the loyalty in the success of our business, I was able to get exactly what we wanted. And I was also able to show them that I could get the same results or maybe even better results with a different vendor. It was a relatively easy conversation, although I was being very direct. They were willing to meet my reasonable request to match what the other vendor was offering. I was in a win-win situation. I was able to sit down with a vendor that I really liked. I enjoyed their products, I enjoyed our relationship, but I was also in a position and already had everything set up with an alternate vendor if they weren't willing to be reasonable. And I say the word reasonable on purpose because I wasn't asking for an unreasonable thing. I was saying, hey, this is what this other, apples to apple comparison I can get. So if I go with this product, which is apples to apples to this product, I can get this pricing. If you're not willing to meet that, well, then that's fine. I'll just shift over to this other product. And they were more than willing to be reasonable and keep my business. These are the type of things that you can do to help control your cost of goods sold. Remember, business is a long game. Just because you're not getting what you want out of the gate doesn't mean you won't get there eventually.
I may have a driver for my day job, but when it comes to the Dyslexic Hustle, it's just me and my son. We're a small team, so if you want to help us, please subscribe.
You just have to be willing to go through the process. Let's talk about your labor costs. There's a couple different ways to hire labor to fulfill your contracts. You can do it by the hour, or you can hire subcontractors. Hourly labor will be taxed as a W-2. Contract labor will be taxed as a 1099. I am very much in favor of a subcontractor model. Let's talk about pros and cons. Hourly employees make it harder to control your costs because they may work fast, they may work slow. You have less control over what the cost of goods sold will be because you're paying them by the hour. So if it's a 10-hour job and they take 20 hours to complete it, it's gonna cause a lot of issues when you start looking at your cost of goods sold. There are ways to build in incentives like commission and production bonuses and different things like that. Some industries are more prone to hourly employees versus subcontractors. Using subcontractors makes it easier to control your cost of goods sold because it doesn't go up if it takes them longer to complete a job. Maybe someone's tired. Maybe someone's just not moving as fast as they could. Maybe they're having a bad week, but it doesn't affect your bottom line because you are paying one set price versus if you're paying hourly, it's gonna fluctuate. Some of the hurdles with subcontractors is quality. You gotta have quality. You're only as good as the workers that you have. In loyalty, you also gotta build up loyalty, which becomes a little bit easier as you grow your business because you have more to offer. Personally, I have found subcontractors to be the best way to run my home service business. I often tell our customers the interaction you have as the customer will not be any different if they were a subcontractor or hourly employees. You'd be surprised how many times I get this question. You might also be surprised how quickly you can reframe it to be a positive rather than a negative, because actually it's no different to the customer. What their concern is, how good is the job gonna be? Am I gonna be responsible as the customer to manage the crew? All these things are important to make sure that you have good systems in place so that you're managing the crews well. You have good quality control. All these things are important. So we're not performing a lower quality job. We're just managing our cost in a more efficient way. The other side of this is also for the contractor. The contractor, the subcontractor, is actually making more money doing it by the job, being a subcontractor, rather than doing it by the hour. It is important that you have your subcontractor set up properly. You need to talk to legal and make sure that that's all the way that it's supposed to be. You need to make sure they have insurance. You need to make sure that you have processes and systems in place to make sure that you are delivering above and beyond what the competition is going to do. You have to deliver a good product. If you have a bad product, it doesn't matter how good your marketing is, your business will fail. As a disclosure, make sure you talk to a legal professional, make sure it's all set up the right way. I'm not a lawyer, I don't play one, and so make sure that you get it all set up properly. Loyalty gives you opportunity. You also want to have consistency with your subcontractors so that you can build loyalty with them as well. Because if you're not giving them steady work, then they're not going to have loyalty to you. I love having loyalty from my subcontractors. I take really good care of the guys that work with us, and I want them to take really good care of me. If there's an issue, I want to be there for them. If they're having troubles, if they're having, honestly, if they're having car trouble, if they're having personal issues. Obviously, I'm not getting into all their personal life, but I'm not afraid to have a personal relationship with these guys so that I can build loyalty, and it helps everyone. I am giving them consistent, regular work, and I know that if I ever get in a bind, that they're gonna help me as well. This is a reciprocal relationship. I can't hardly even say the word, but we have consistency. We have an authentic relationship. I genuinely care about these guys, and they care about us, and we want to build a quality relationship. One of the things that you can do is if you're giving them consistent work, you may be able to negotiate a lower price, because you may say, hey, I may not pay as much as this other company, but I'm gonna give you regular, consistent work. And that has a lot of value because they're not worried where are they gonna get their next job. They know that we're gonna give them consistent, regular work. At the end of the day, you wanna make sure that your subcontractors are well compensated because you want loyalty and you want a high quality job. If you hire the cheapest subcontractor, you're gonna get crap work and you're not gonna build a good, reputable business. But you can also good, reputable business using fair market pricing. And it doesn't have to be the highest payments. You don't have to pay your subs the highest of the industry. You can pay them well. And if they know that they're gonna get consistent day after day work from you, they're more likely to negotiate with you on pricing. If you haven't noticed, the consistent theme on both sides, the material and the labor, is that you're building relationships and you're building loyalty with the expectation that there will be reciprocal loyalty to you and your company. Additional things you may be able to do in the future is raise your prices based on your expertise and your brand. Most of your pricing is going to be set on some type of metric. For painting, it might be based on square footage or how long it takes to complete a job, and you have some margin built into that, but you're going to find some kind of consistent metric or unit to base your pricing on. A lot of times you will just pay your subcontractor a percentage of what you are charging the customer. As you start to build up your reputation and your brand, you will be able to charge more based on your brand and your reputation, which will also help your bottom line. All right, here are two different scenarios. Let's say because I have a really good brand, I'm able to charge $12,000, which is an extra $2,000. Now, I'm still just gonna pay the subcontractor the same amount because he's happy, he's getting the same price that he would normally get. But because we've built a brand, I am now able to charge $2,000 more, which is a 20% increase. And that means I'm bringing 20% more to my bottom line. All right, so let's work on two different scenarios. So let's say I am charging $10,000 to get a home painted, and it only cost me $5,000. So that gives me a profit of 50%, which is $5,000. So let's say I'm able to charge $12,000 because I have a really good brand and a really good reputation. And so now I'm able to bring an extra $2,000 down to my bottom line because I'm not paying the sub $6,000. I'm still just paying them $5,000, and now I'm able to bring that extra money down to my bottom line, which increases my net profit. All right, here's another example. So let's say we have two different bags, like purses, okay? So I have a bag that has the Dyslexic Hustle and it has our logo on it. It looks really sharp, it's really nice, it's really well made. And then there's another bag that has Louis Vuitton on it. Now, I am not going to be able to charge the same amount of money that Louis Vuitton charges. I could have the bag made the exact same way in the exact same factory. The Louis Vuitton bag is going to cost more money than the Dyslexic Hustle bag because of the brand. The value of brand is so important. Build up a strong brand and you will be able to charge more. Now, let me say this. I have spent many years in the painting business. I have not worked on my brand a lot and we are starting to work on it. So don't come out of the gate trying to spend a lot of money building your brand. The brand is a long game. It's gonna take longer to build and it's gonna cost more money than you think. So get your business profitable, get in the rat race a little bit, and you're gonna have to just get into the trenches and build a business so that you have some revenue so that you can start working on the brand. But brand is going to be the thing that helps elevate you above everyone else. Again, don't let the perfect percentages get in the way of starting your business. Get things going. You may look at it and be like, man, these percentages are all out of whack. Nothing looks the way that it's supposed to. But you will always have the ability to negotiate and adjust things on the back end. Get the ball rolling. As you get momentum, different opportunities will come, doors will open, and you'll notice opportunities that you can take advantage of, but you just gotta get in the game, get in the arena, start playing. Remember, business is a relationship game. You don't need to be a spreadsheet wizard or a slick negotiator. You just need to care, you need to build loyalty, and you need to be willing to ask. So take 5 minutes this week and sit down with your numbers and figure out where you can strengthen vendor relationships. And then get to work. It'll pay off fast.